Scalpel.
Hello!
And welcome to something a bit different.
As you might be aware, we've been waiting for a good long while on our big Kickstarter delivery with more Battletech stuff to include in future videos. And that has finally arrived. Among the arrivals will be our first proper vehicle miniatures and a veritable ton of new mechs.
It's like a surprise Santa. Only the surprise wasn't what he'll bring, but when he'd get around to deliver it. Also, we had to pay for it. Yeah, exactly like Christmas.
Anyways, it is a lot. So we will be doing something that is not quite an unboxing video. It will be us taking stock of what new things arrived, which one of these we were particularly looking forward to, and
hopefully Green regaling us, and especially me, with some lore and a bit of nitty-gritty about the mechs and vehicles. Just to show you where we're at with them, and in addition to that, it might give us some ideas for future battle reports. And maybe we'll add some thoughts about it at the end. But the big box is waiting to spill its treasures. Shall we get going?
Let's. If only to prevent you from bursting with anticipation. Looking at what's on top, we may need to start with some of the extra fluff though before we can get to the new units.
Then let's not delay any further. Okay, we're gonna take things one at a time. This might be a bit much for the table otherwise. First item
is The Art of War. You know, the book by Sun Tzu. Not that Sun Tzu, the historic Sun Tzu.
War psychology, logistics, leadership. Used to be popular with Wall Street guys, I think. Or maybe that was a cliche in the 90s. I wrote a book report on that a long time ago. I think I still have it on my shelf somewhere with annotations and all.
Yeah, well, this one also has annotations by Jamie Wolf.
Okay, that one wins. I'll have to read it again. What else?
Well, we do have your...
Mine.
Herbie plushie.
Mine.
Capellan Death Commandos, I believe it was, because you thought the colors of the pirate one looked too weird. What are you going to use it for anyway?
Things. Important things.
Right. Apart from that, we also have a Timberwolf statue, which was a stretch goal. We probably wouldn't have sprung for this. You can't actually use this in the game, and this is just decorative. It's a cool thing to have. I'm not complaining.
Mine.
Yes, well, 1 second. Let's get this away from you and move on.
I think these might be what I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, they're not the most important part of the lot, but I do love opening surprise boxes, be they Kinder eggs or booster packs.
These little boxes were invented for the earlier Kickstarters. As a backer, you got to select a number of the bigger boxes depending on which mechs you wanted to have. But they're uneven. A box with an Inner Sphere Lance contains 4 mechs, whereas a Clan Star of course has 5 mechs. In retail, you can compensate by making the Inner Sphere boxes cheaper, but to make things fair for the people who just got told choose 4, every Inner Sphere box came with a salvage box containing a random extra mech, to bring the total up to 5 as well.
And in this Kickstarter, there were also ways to get salvage boxes, and even choose which pool to draw from. We have here boxes with the mechs from the Mercenaries Kickstarter itself, and legendary mechs, which I think are specific mechs taken from the novels.
Yeah, they are the personal rights of legendary characters from the universe. Also including the Alpha Strike card with the stat line for that pilot in particular. We could have had the option to get more mechs from the clan invasions as well, or more vehicles, but we already ordered a lot of vehicles and we wanted the new stuff, so we just went with extra mechs.
We're starting out tame though. These two boxes have no surprises. Mine has a blood asp, which was included for most people, I think, and that is a mech, which I know shockingly little about. Let me get this open.
The Blood Asp is a 90-ton clan Omnimech based on the Kingfisher.
That would help me so much if I remembered anything about the Kingfisher.
Most interesting is probably the fact that it was invented by Clan Staradder as an insult to Clan Blood Spirit. And in terms of loadout, well, it's chock full of weapons, armor and engine. Often featuring heavy lasers, which are a Clan Staradder invention as well, some Gauss rifles with too little ammunition, and generally more lasers than the heatsinks know what to do with, which is Clan standard.
And your box?
Oh, well, mine has 4 Savannah Masters, which every Battletech player probably knows a lot about. They are the go-to hovercraft if you have to go for speed with just enough armament to be annoying. These are very firmly secured. They are so hard to hit, and even if you manage it, well, congratulations! You have just removed a single medium laser.
Here we go.
So you can have 1 or 2 on the same hex.
I suspect we'll see these in action sooner or later. But let's get to the real haul. Vehicles.
Hooray!
Here we are, the meat and potatoes of this delivery. All our vehicular needs fulfilled.
Yes, pretty much. We tried to get some of everything they put out for the Kickstarter. We love our combined arms. And here is a lot to combine.
Yes, I think these will cut down a lot on the amount of proxied World War II tanks. Thanks for standing in though, Memoir. Let's see what we have here. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. Let me put this over here.
Yeah, so, starting out. We have the Rifle and Command Lance.
Here. And there is
Bulldogs and Hetzers.
Bulldogs and Hetzers. We used those in our Introduction to Vehicles game, if I remember correctly. The Hetzers, that was AC-10s or even AC-20s. I remember the Hetzers with their AC-10s, or was that even AC-20s?
You get them with all sorts of weapons. An AC-20 is factory standard. They are moving weapons platforms, first and foremost. Someone decided to cut out all the extra bells and whistles. Just enough structure and an engine so you can drive it forward to the front, and just enough armor to stay there. It's a bare bones weapons on wheels. What can go wrong with that? And of course, the Bulldog is a classic tank. Reasonably tough, reasonably well armed, uncomfortably hard to get rid of, a good all-rounder that will easily fulfill all your typical tank needs.
These are new though. Sturmfeuer. Sturmfeuer heavy tank. And oh, from Luckner. Wonder when I'll see these in action.
The Sturmfeuer is a heavy LRM platform. It weighs in an impressive 85 tons and has a lot of armor to burn through. And on that tough shell it mounts 2 LRM 20s.
Quite impressive.
You say that, but I'm asking myself, why coat it in so much armor and then only give it 2 sets of LRM 20s when the good old LRM carrier has 3 of those.
I suspect we'll be seeing the good old LRM carrier somewhere down the road.
It's not like this thing has always just been an alternative. It's produced since 3018. It's one of the newer missile platforms, which just makes this thing all the more baffling. Speaking of baffling though, here we have the von Luckner tank. A nightmare in 3 acts. 75 tons, an armament a heavy mech wouldn't be ashamed of. AC-20 typically, lots of SRMs, an LRM-10, machine gun, flamer. They've been around since the Star League, and no wonder there still are some. They're slow to get to the front and very hard to kill when they get there. I can see why you'd use them if you still had one sitting in a depot. It's got one singular problem. It's powered by a fusion engine.
And if you have one of those, you'd rather stick it in a mech than leave it in a tank.
Which led to a lot of them sitting around with their guts ripped out during the long times of shortages. I'm excited to see one in action, preferably not pointed against me though.
Moving on. We have the Battle and Firelands. Let me get this open. Two Manticores.
Manticores are one of those tanks found throughout all eras, so I'm happy we can mix these in now. 60 tons, good armor, main feature is a PPC, but they also come equipped with an SRM-6, an LRM-10 and a medium laser, making sure they have something to add in all range bands.
So, a solid addition all around. Got it. Next are two Vedette medium tanks. Enlighten me.
These are the yardstick when it comes to medium tanks. Even more so than the Bulldog earlier. The most medium of medium tanks, if you will. They fall into a very uncomfortable spot for an enemy commander. They are only lightly armed, something like an AC-5 and a machine gun. They are reasonably fast, going 68 kph.
How does that translate into hex movement?
5.8. They are also pretty tanky. All in all, just too much effort to take down and too dangerous to completely ignore.
The sweet spot of total annoyance.
Just about. Well, that's them. Moving on, and very importantly, this pack includes the SRM and LRM carriers. Just 2 pairs of trucks serving as mobile missile platforms ready to unleash hell.
Yeah, LRM carrier. Tuck them away in the right spot and see them rain down artillery to support the whole game. Getting Advanced Wars vibes looking at these.
And you don't even know the best part yet. The turrets are interchangeable, so these can be made into a lance of 4 or mixed however you like. And they're even apparently intercompatible with the turrets in the Battlefield Support and Placements pack, which we might get at some point.
To explain buildings. Sure, you know it's coming at some point. Alright. Assault and Cavalry Lancers. More old acquaintances. Shreks and Demolishers. I actually know these. AC-20s and PPCs. The dream team that made things hell for my Comstar Lance in their battle against the Thorians.
Oh, come on. You trashed those in the end. But there are also Condor heavy hover tanks, which I fondly remember from playing MechWarrior 4 back in the day. Other than that, they're basically just a Vedette with the tracks removed and turned into a hovercraft. There are some different variations in armament, but it's along that baseline. You might also remember that we used them in one of our first Battletech games ever, the beach landing that went unfilmed.
Oh, the one where half the attackers crashed into the woods eventually.
Always watch that speed gaunt when you're drifting your hovercraft. And to round things out, there's 2 Pegasus Scoutcraft. They're well armored and well armed. Medium laser, 2 SRM-6s. As such, they can bloody the nose of anything that surprises them during their scout runs, or can even be deployed as strikers. Very effective design.
And it has to be said, it really wouldn't be Battletech if we didn't assemble a proper set of hover vehicles. Don't think there's any other franchise featuring them this prominently.
They were new and exciting when it was first conceived, and now they're here to stay. Next box.
We have doubles of the previous ones.
Yeah, I like authenticity. Vehicle lances in universe usually don't mix different types. A Condor lance would typically consist of 4 Condors or very similar designs.
That's why we got 4 Savannah Masters in the Savannah Master salvage box.
Exactly. Of course, it's only a guideline and commanders will still employ mixed lances, especially with their heavier stuff, and also if they're running low on vehicles or transport space. But unlike Mech lances, this should be the exception. And I really want the option to go with the classic 4 of the same approach wherever it fits the game.
Fair enough. Speeds this up as well. Going on. Hunter and Recon Lance. Oh, I see helicopters. Tell me they're warriors. Please tell me they're warriors. Yes! Finally, we don't have to trouble ourselves with the finicky tin models anymore.
Oh, we can have even more copters.
I guess. They keep falling apart though. Skulker Scout, Behemoth Heavy Tank, both new to me. Ontos, that one I know. That was the one that had the long shootout with my catapult in the last game. So this is what it actually looks like.
Well, you know those? Let's go over these. Skulker. Think of it as a bigger, beefed up Swiftwind.
Which was a small unarmed scout car.
This one has more or less the same sensor array, but weighs in at 35 tons as opposed to the 8 of the Swiftwind. And it has a medium laser welded onto it.
So that's the advantage? It's armed?
No, it has heatsinks, which can be rerouted to the sensor array, making this one of the only scouts viable for scorching deserts and regions with lots of geothermal activity. And that is what made it popular. Also, it has enough room for staff and can be used as a mobile command and communications post.
Which could be interesting for mission design. Behemoth?
100 tons of malice, with a good deal of weapons, typically 2 AC-10s and several missile launchers and machine guns. It can go toe-to-toe with most mechs, provided it can manage to actually get near those toes, as this thing only goes whopping 32 kph. For comparison, an Atlas does over 50.
Look, it has a low-flying and a high-flying setup.
Makes it easy to differentiate between the two, if there's 2 on the field.
This is cool.
Now, heavy battle and sweep lances.
What you got in there?
Battletech, another mainline tank. Basically a grown-up vedette. It has an AC-10 as opposed to an AC-5. It has sidearms as opposed to a machine gun. It's a good heavy tank. Going on with the Pike support vehicle.
Support vehicle? That sounds wonderfully vague.
It is an odd specimen. 3 AC-2s and 2 SRM-2s. So you already have a pretty long range on those ACs, but they only do chip damage unless your opponent is already heavily damaged. And there is an interesting story behind this.
Still don't see what this thing's deal is. But once more, enlighten me.
It was conceived by the Canopians, the periphery state. They made it extremely cheap and hoped to sell it en masse to the inner sphere. There was a devious plan behind that. With their small ACs and SRMs, they wouldn't be able to disable any mech by critically damaging one system and thus turning them into salvage to be reused, as is custom. These were designed to sandpaper mechs down until nothing usable was left. You see, the Canopians didn't have a lot of mech production on their own, so they hoped to level the playing field by making sure no one else had them either.
What went wrong?
Import costs and unpredictable uses. For one, being manufactured on the cheap end of the periphery still meant that they were of average cost after accounting for customs and shipping.
Something board gamers can relate to, I'm sure. So they never were the omnipresent mass product they were supposed to be?
Yeah, and when people got their hands on them, they found them underwhelming at fighting mechs. But do you know what lots of AC2s are good against? Aircraft! So that's what these are most commonly used for. Flak.
That's an interesting story and a roundabout way of saying we have a flag now. And possibly need to do air combat at some point. So what's the next one?
Drilson Heavy Tank.
Can you be a bit shorter on these ones?
Bulldog turned hovercraft.
Nice. And lastly, J. Edgar Hover Tank. Really? Someone was in a punny mood when they came up with that one.
They are a classic staple though. Think of them sort of as deluxe Savannah Masters. SRMs glued on, bit bigger, needs to be accompanied by things that are more dangerous as they don't want to be shot at. So they can concentrate on being annoying and grinding down the enemy. Got another box there?
Yeah, let's clear this up. So, it's the famous objectives. Lots of clear plastic and 4 tiny vehicles.
Not so tiny. Open this up. Look at these. This is a long tom. Ruining your day a whole table away. This one. Mobile headquarters. A mesh vehicle. Didn't you have one of those for your field surgeon in the pen and paper?
Ah, yeah, briefly. And the final one?
And this is just the ammo carriage for the long tom. But I can already see these will make wonderful centerpieces to build missions around.
And you know what I can see?
No? What?
That it's time to finally open the first real surprise salvage box. Now, which salvage boxes do you want to start with? Mercenaries or legendary mechs? Or one of each?
Since we still have boxes to go through, let's start with the legendary ones.
Let's start with the legendary ones.
So I'm excited to see what we get.
I think there was precisely one that you were really salivating for.
Yeah. Let's see.
After you.
Maybe I just get it on the first try. Oh, yes, I can. Ha! First, no, certainly not. Well, this is Loki. We got a Loki now.
We don't have a Loki so far, and I don't think we ordered one.
Nope, I don't believe so either. Apparently it was driven by the bounty hunter at some point, like most mechs, I believe. Well, this is Loki.
The bounty hunter drove pretty much everything, and pretty much everyone was the bounty hunter.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it's even a Loki Mark II Prime. Well,
I'll open mine.
Please do. Loki, by the way, is a design that has a little bit of everything. It's got such a wide variety of weapons that I struggle to see what the point of the vehicle is. I mean, it gets everything kind of done.
Well, we have another mech, so it's not what you're
Aww.
looking for. And it's a Warhammer. I think we already have a Warhammer.
Spot the difference.
This one.
One is in a sphere made.
Yeah, we have a Warhammer.
Yeah. And whose Warhammer was it?
The Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, but a different one.
Oh, come on, it's always the same one.
No, this is Mickey Fraser. This is Kiddo. They are different people. They are different people.
Well, those boxes started us off nicely. Now that we got a taste for mechs, let's do more mechs.
You're in luck, we've got loads more.
What do we have here? Inner Sphere Urban Lands. Oh yeah, I remember. I wanted that one for the Raven.
The Raven of all things?
It's got a really distinct look. It's rather unmistakable. It was in Mech Commander. I never played that, but I must have read the big flashy review in my gaming mech of choice 1,000 times. And there was always a few of these running around in MechWarrior Online. Remember? Jumping, sniping with large lasers?
Yeah, the Raven famously lugging around a large laser. Something that happened never. Apart from that though, it's a very distinct propellant design. In lore, they were fitted with really sophisticated electronics for their time. In gameplay terms, they're a bit more unremarkable. Again, flavor-wise, they made extremely good scouts. Speaking of distinct looks though, I wanted this for the Hunchback.
The Hunchback's in there?
Yes, and that's an iconic mech if ever there was one. Slow, strong, bulky. Often ridiculed for its slowness, even if I think he could do much worse than a movement of 4-6. These were often used by militia forces, giving them an air of an overgrown Herbie with their one big AC. But good armor, big damage, tricky to get into range, no one wants to have an AC 20 in their face. Also, loads of variants.
The rest?
We've got a Victor and an Enforcer, which I both really wanted. The Enforcer is an iconic medium-weight workhorse. We were a bit lacking in variety when it comes to inner sphere mediums, and now I won't always have to field the same mechs in that weight class. This one used to be a Davian staple, to be exact. Also a Davian staple is the Victor, an assault mech with jump jets. Just to really ruin someone's day. Think of this as a slightly smaller Highlander. Red box. We wanted all of these. Next box.
Inner Sphere Recon Lance.
More lights to bolster our selection. Javelin is pretty well known. Here you go. Ost Scout, Spectre.
Apart from the Javelin, I don't remember any of those.
The Ost Scout is a design by Ostman Industries. They made a bunch of mechs, all having names beginning with Ost. Most commonly known of them would be the Ostrock. The selling point of these was their hugely advanced sensor array, also reflecting the mech's quirks, advanced sensors. The Spectre...
Yes?
I actually don't remember off the top of my head. Bear with me for a moment. Well, no wonder I didn't see it around. It's a chameleon shield. Jokes aside, it's a mech back from the Star League, used by the SLDF. And they're all but extinct now. Apart from rumors that there has been one scene in a mercenary unit in 3076.
So, using that in a game would be like we'd have Bigfoot or Nessie show up.
Yeah, a bit unlikely. Javelin.
Does it chuck spears?
Missiles. I thought they were a weird sort of scout equipped with LRMs and had mixed feeling about that. Like, have at least 60 tons before you start messing around with long-range missiles. But now I see that that's only a variant, and they usually come equipped with SRMs. Might need to see it used to have proper opinion on them.
Fair enough. That's how I feel about a lot of these for now.
And then there's the Firestarter.
That one I do remember. My first light I ever piloted in MWO. Although I think it's not usually filled to the brim with light pulse lasers.
Might surprise you, but a Firestarter often has flamer.
It kinda is in the name, I guess, yeah.
And in the design. It's got fuel tanks on the arms. Even though mech flamers usually use the excess heat from the fusion engines. But it's even on the quirks. Right there. Exposed weapon linkage. And it's got a very bad reputation in universe.
Why is that? Because mech pilots don't like getting overheated by flamers?
That's part of it, for sure. And then it's basically a walking war crime when it comes to infantry and anything else it might want to start fire on.
You know what? That is actually fair.
You know, like residential areas, orphanages, retirement homes.
I'm clearing these away.
Inner sphere, direct fire lance. No question why you wanted this one.
What's in it?
Well, some rather heavy equipment. Marauder 2, Ryan, Crusader.
Somewhat familiar with all of these. Kerensky piloted an Orion during the Amara Civil War, after all, but I don't think any of those is...
And an Atlas.
Ah, finally! Gotta have the poster boy after all. I mean, if you see Battletech, it's usually an Atlas or the Mad Cat. And right now the Atlas is on Total Warfare and on the frickin' logo.
Yeah, and on pretty much everything else. Also, even though he piloted an Orion, it was Alexander Kerensky's personal pet project. And that has to count for something.
Also, Steiner Scout Lance. Now we only need to have 3 more of those. And into the collection it goes.
But let's not walk over the others. We already mentioned the Orion, which is almost a pocket Atlas.
Atlas, the prequel.
Still a fearsome mech. And from prequel to sequel, Marauder 2 tries to improve on the Marauder, which, you know, is quite a ballsy thing to try. But hey, they turned it from a heavy into an assault and actually turned this into another pretty successful design. The Crusader is an interesting addition to our collection. It was one of the main heavy mechs used by the SLDF and as such is easy to find even later. They were designed as all-rounders and I don't even really want to give any specific loadout as everyone had an idea on how to modify theirs. Sana lists no less than 28 variants, plus 1 costume design.
Wow, okay. I'll see what I get then when you actually decide to field one of those in a game. But that's all of them. Next we have Inner Sphere Heavy Lance. Because the last one wasn't heavy already. But let's see. Yeah, the Banshee is a classic and definitely heavy.
Salty even. After all the great heavy lifters in the last box, the Banshee has been noted as perpetually underwhelming. Fast for its size and well armored, but really undergunned. Which makes the toughness and speed rather useless. And given how big it is, it's still too slow to flee slower gunboats.
Does it have any saving graces?
It was one of the first mech designs and everyone learned a lot from its failure.
Can't wait to see that in action then. Grasshopper. Which, despite the name, is a heavy? Would have thought that it'd fall more in line with the Locust or the Flea on the lighter side of things.
Nope. That's a heavy. It's got the nice speed of the smaller bug mechs and a lot of powerful jump jets, hence the name. And it's a laser boat, so it can be out in the field and stay there basically forever without needing to restock on ammo. We like that one.
Next is the Centurion. That's a medium though. Even I know that. Mohawk up top, shield arm to the side.
And another medium I really wanted to have. Of course, the most famous Centurion is Yanglo Wang, Justin Allard's mech. the one he used to become a living legend in Solaris arenas. It's got good armor and good damage. The AC-10 got replaced with an AC-20 on Yanlo Wang, by the way, making for some really nasty surprise. Think you can tank a shot from it? Wham! No, you can't. Rock solid mech. Last one?
Hatchet Man!
Hatchet Man! A wonderfully stupid idea. The most cutting edge in futuristic warfare, and what do we stick on it? A glorified pull-up.
What's not to love?
Well, we were just speaking about the alerts, weren't we? Kai Alert Liao had a pretty famous episode where he held a pass against a whole lot of clan mechs using only a Hatchet Man at the Battle of Twycross.
That's not survivable, is it?
Well, his ranged weapons were destroyed by that point, so he challenged them to attack him in melee with a pretty boisterous speech. You know clanners can't ignore that. Also, the pass was mined, and when the Hatchetman finally exploded, it took down a whole galaxy with it.
Oh.
And Kai survived, thanks to its cutting-edge, full-head ejection system. Hatchetman! Then, Inner Sphere, Security Lance.
Is that sort of like an armed security blanket?
They are apparently meant to be mechs that would be a good choice for security forces to defend compounds and urban environments. And they include, drumroll, our very first, quad.
Quad mech! Same amount of mech, double the legs.
I actually like this mech a lot. It has been the subject of a lot of hate in-universe for a long time though.
People don't approve of the extra pair of legs,
That's out of universe. But in a sense, it was built as a rather bumpy ride, and that, together with the neuro helmet not interfacing very well between a bipedal brain and a quadruped machine, made it quite nauseating to use for most pilots. After World of Blade tried their darnest to figure out how to make this thing into a land-air mech, the problem seemed solved pretty much overnight. And the mech became very popular pretty much overnight.
But apart from the legs and the whole neuro helmet thing, what's its deal?
It is a very good combined arms artillery mech, best combined with infantry and armor. It sports a PPC and SRMs, making it pretty much a Panther on 4 legs. But in my opinion, the Panther is just a bit too slow and a bit too squishy to be running around with something like a PPC that you just want gone. The Scorpion fixes that, having a bit more weight to put into additional armor and going 5'8" as opposed to 4'6", just making it all around a bit more valid. It's lacking the jump jets, but that's not really a big deal. Next, we have Jägermech,
which I have a feeling was in just about every other MechWarrior Online match and very recurring in the Hairbrain Schemes strategy game. Give me the rundown.
It's a pike on legs. The flag mech, which is also what everyone is using it for. It's got great target tracking, it's a bit lacking in armor, so you don't necessarily want it to frontline against other mechs, but it knows what it wants and does it really well.
Something I always approve of.
The Vulcan is a little less obvious. I wanna say it reminds me of the Firestarter, as it has flamers and a machine gun, as well as a medium laser and an AC-2 in its standard configuration.
And the Firestarter has
4 flamers, 2 machine guns, 2 medium lasers.
Bit more, isn't it? Is the Firestarter heavier?
No, this thing is 5 tons heavier, bringing it up into the medium class. But it's just as fast.
Then this is probably better armored.
Also, not really. I don't really see why this is an improvement over the Firestarter. Dropping a lot of the weaponry for no real advantage other than the long-range AC-2 for an urban fighting mech?
Anyone wanna help us out with that in the comments?
Still, it's an anti-infantry mech unless you go into the variants. One of which drops the AC-2 and replaces it with 3 medium lasers, bringing it again closer to the Firestarter, but also beefing it up with 2 additional tons of armor, which, you know, better.
Okay. Well, then what is the final mech in the pack? Something a bit more tasty again?
It's a Whitworth.
And what is that known for?
Initially, for the fact that its legs might come loose under too much stress.
Brilliant! Exactly what we want in a mech.
It's an old design. A medium built more for support. 2 LRM-10s and 3 medium lasers. It's not gonna be the big hero of any lance, but you know you could do worse than a pocket catapult. And people have been refitting them forever if they had them lying about. Most infamously with inferno missiles to burn through whole cities, but basically for whatever task the current war called for. Not being a brilliant chassis to begin with, they fizzled out in time though, as no one was itching to build more of them.
And now we have one. Let's see what we need it for. Heavy recon lance. Let's see. Oh, Ostrock. That's one of that Ostman line you mentioned earlier. Which one would that be? This one.
Yes, it's their main stable, built throughout the entire tenure until the facility was destroyed in 2777.
And that was the end of that?
Not so. The Ostrock was popular enough to got revitalized in the later 31st century after they figured out the design via the Helm memory core. Low profile, lots of armaments with large lasers, medium lasers and LRMs, and a speed of 5.8, which is pretty quick as well for a heavy, making it a good heavy scout and raider. That's all I have on that.
And here is the next one, the Charger. Another mech that is widely looked down upon, but I think you actually have a soft spot for it.
Indeed. Gonna take it to a meta level for a moment here. This was one of the first models in the franchise, back when they were still just throwing ideas at the wall to see what sticks. This one came about when someone took a long look at the charge rule they just came up with and then tried to build a mech for it. As the formula goes, distance traveled times weight equals damage. They optimized the charger for that. 5.8 movement with an 80-ton mech was the sweet spot in their basic construction rules. You can't make a heavier mech that fast and you can't make this any faster. Slap on a good deal of armor to make it viable in melee and basically ignore everything else.
And given by its reputation, this very much didn't stick, did it?
In universe, it was designed as a heavy scout. Fast enough to get in and out and well armored to ensure it could report back. Didn't work out though. It just has no bite. An assault armed with a bunch of small lasers is too much of a pushover. Commanders send lights and mediums after it when it shows up, and they'll have no trouble making it pop in the end. The Innisphere tried to fix it by ripping out the fast engine and adding weapon until it was a mediocre assault mech. The Periphery, on the other hand, slapped rocket launchers on it. One-use only disposable weapon systems. Give it one hell of a one-time punch that it can use to cripple one pursuer and then get away. Tex has a full video on this thing if you want to know more. Moving on.
To another one I know rather well from online play, the Assassin. They were a pain to kill and could really pack a punch for their side. But what are they actually like?
Pretty much what it says on the tin. They're supposed to be light mech hunters. They're fast, can jump very far, and are reasonably well armored, making them a pain to put down. The armament, however, is just a medium laser, LRM-5 and SRM-2. Even on a light mech, that would take some time to show results. So maybe they can outlast them. With a 711 movement and the jump jets, they can outpace most of them. Which means they're probably best at hunting down singular scouts. They're a bit rare though, as the factories shut down after a short production run due to some violations, and manufacturing only really restarted in the recent years after the production rights changed hands.
And finally, this one I'm drawing a big blank on. The Merlin.
Not that surprising, given that it wasn't around before 3010. And you're not even in the clan invasion in your novel reading, right?
Guilty as charged.
It's a heavy. And the main thing of this one is reliability, as well as being built from readily available parts, making it really popular amongst mercenaries and rather fitting for the Mercenary Kickstarter. 18 heatsinks, lots of hardpoints for a fair amount of firepower don't make it exactly less tasty. Good modern mech. That was all of our regular boxes. Now we have one more that I just had to add in. The Somerset Strikers.
Saturday morning cartoon goodness! It's all of the mechs the heroes in Steiner's infamously iconic propaganda piece were using.
Ah, those were real. Maybe not as over the top as in the cartoon, but the basic facts are correct, and they did battle the clans in those theaters.
Yeah, I know, but still, can't help but giggle a bit. But if I remember correctly, we didn't only want these for the nostalgia.
There are some pretty cool mechs in here. Let's get the Bushwhacker and Wolfhound out of the way first, which just have new poses compared to the old models.
We already have a Wolfhound, which is a Steiner mech, if I remember my history.
Are built as a counter to Curator's Panthers and Janus, if anyone's interested. Fast, heavily armed with an ER large and 4 medium lasers.
I don't think we ever had one of the old Bushwhackers.
That's true. Okay, it's a mech that was just in development when the clan invasion hits. Their first attempt was to make the narrow front its selling point, which should make it hard to hit. Came with its own problems in the wiring though. And after raiding some of the first clan tech, they turned around and made it a Vulture knockoff.
Vulture.
Mad Dog?
Ah.
Anyway, the clan mech had the same narrow profile, so they could just copy their homework and make this into a pretty decent mech. Coincidentally, one that became popular in the Draconis Combine, so that makes me happy. But we also have the Hatchetman's bigger brother, the Axe.
More Axe? Even more fun! No cool Kaya Liao story for this one though.
Nope, sadly not. But then, there is the Mauler. This one was actually one of my favorites when playing MechWarrior 4 as a kid. It's armed with ER large lasers and LRM-15s and 4 AC2s. So you could wreck stuff on sight even if it was still very far away. And for some reason you could also slap more armor on this than on any other mech. Not even sure why.
And on the table and in lore?
Still a long range mech. Keep it in the back and keep it healthy. I'll make a note though that it went through a lot of design weirdness due to meta problems. It has a handful of names, including combine variants like Nainokami or Daboku. Also Linesman. One of those came about from a different naming in a German publication. Then MechForce Germany came up with the Linesman.
Why do Germans always have to mess with Battletech? Mach bitte weiter.
Anyway, official sources later came up with the Daboku as the predecessor, and even the Linesman moniker was eventually given a place as a nickname along with the properly canonized Nainokami as the initial project name in the Draconis Combine, before it became known as the more successful Mauler.
So, good long range mech. Got it.
And finally, the Hatamotochi. I'm always a bit of a Curator fanboy, so you can imagine how happy I am getting one of their signature mechs.
Looks like the mech from the Red Alert 3 intro. But cultural links aside, is it actually a good mech?
I want to say yes. However, I feel the need to elaborate. And for that, I need to go back to the Charger.
The Charger! Not the most promising start, but keep going.
Yes, as we've established, no one wanted to use the Charger. But Curator still had some of the relevant production facilities, so they refitted them. This is the reload. 15.5 tons of pure armor, a PPC in every arm, 18 heatsinks, 2 side torso mounted SRM6s with a single ton ammo each. Remind you of anything?
Not a Charger. I want to say it sounds familiar though, but I can't.
This is the Thug. Although the Thug has double heatsinks.
Double heatsinks. Live and learn.
But it's got the exact same engine. Like, not only the rating, the exact same engine. And lots of other identical stuff. All in all, its main problem is that it overheats more easily, but it is a Thug in every other regard, and the Thug is a good mech.
So we have a charger that identifies as a Thug and cosplays as a samurai.
If you want to put it that way. It was successful enough to have variants which are more different though. And it looks awesome.
No argument there. Well, that's all of our big mech boxes. Will take a while to work through all of these on the battlefield, I'm sure.
Does that mean you don't want to open your salvage box?
Are you kidding? Gimme!
I will just take the last of the legendary salvage boxes.
One last chance to get what you wanted.
Let's see here. Nope, it's Mech.
No.
Ah well, no tank destroyer for me.
But at least it's not one of those we already had.
Nope, it's a Charger. It's Jeremiah Rose's Charger 3K. The founder and infamous commander of the Blackthorns. I think he died when someone realized that the planet they had just sterilized still contained his units and no one had actually written him off of there, so...
The difference is where it points its weapon. But I think it's even the same part?
Probably, I mean it's the identical mech, so it should be the same part.
Alright. Let's go for this one and see if we're doubling up again. Maybe it's even a third charger. But now this is a lot smaller. What are you? Oh! This is a Locust.
No, this is a Locust 2C.
2C?
This is the clan version of the Locust.
Ah.
Because remember, the clans originally were SLDF and they took the old designs with them and improved on them. So a lot of old mechs got beefed up into the variant 2C, which is the improved clan version of the original. But then they came up with the whole Omni-Mech stuff, and so the entire 2C stuff got shoved off into Solomar garrison forces and not actually used in frontline fighting.
Also, looking at this with the slightly organic design, wonder if this one was also based on the whole Macross Frontier stuff.
Probably. I mean, the Locust was for sure.
Alright. Not sad about that one.
Nope, that's fine.
And a quick one. We have a small plastic bag. It contains a coin and some dice.
The coin is a vanity coin included with the pledge. It complements the one we already have.
That's over there. You wanna...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think we like the colors on that one.
This one is Clan Sea Fox. These were available for almost all houses and clans, but after much deliberation, we went for these.
And the dice are mainly very shiny. But the 6 has been replaced by some emblem or symbol on all of these. This is the Battletech symbol. And then
the dagger star.
Yeah, then we had the dagger star because we didn't know that we'd need one specific clan or something.
So
we thought the dagger star nicely covers a lot of ground. Yeah, that was all in that pack. Let's clear it away and open more boosters.
Of course, now they're coming in quick and fast. Is this a charger?
No,
Not look like a charger.
this looks
This
too
look
bulky.
like a pillager.
Oh, we don't have one of those.
No, we don't. And now we do. And I'm already afraid. I do not know a lot of the Pillager, but it scares me. I know it's an assault. It's not 100 tons, I believe.
Looks orky.
Actually, it may be 100 tons. Kind of reminds me of the Kodiak. But that may just be the claws.
Kodiak is actually another one I remember.
Yeah.
So let's see what we have here. Apart from not getting the exact one you wanted, we've been kind of lucky on these so far.
Yeah. I mean, second charger is always nice.
This might actually be one. No. Thought for a moment. This is a Highlander 2C. Another one we don't have.
Yeah, and another beefed up classic Highlander 2C. Well, again, it's an improvement of the Highlander, so I'm guessing it comes with a big Gauss rifle, by the looks of it, and lots of missiles, a trio of lasers. Looks like a very fearsome machine. That's these.
Great. This is stuff that we sorely need. More maps. This is just posters, I guess.
Also sorely needed. Posters.
Posters. We had one of those already.
Yep.
Where everything was on. And now there's more everything, so we need another one of these.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. This is stuff and vehicles.
And the backside
is the inside art of the regular Battletech box. Sorry. If you can see inside, I'm not sure how easy it is, but this is that in full print.
I'll put a picture up.
Yep.
I'll do that for every one of these, so you
Yeah.
probably already saw that.
Yeah. Maybe.
And this is more vertical. Oh, there's a dude on here.
This one is this.
Yeah. And this is space.
This is just space.
That's the posters.
That's the posters.
Which are neat, as well as the mech sheets, but now comes the stuff we really wanted.
And this is now the Savannah map pack.
Yeah. Lots more variation in maps. And these ones are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
That looks like a map.
Sure does. Hovercraft having a field day.
Oh yeah.
Now the thing we've all been waiting for and someone else has been dreading.
City map pack. Hello. How nice to meet you.
So, do you want me to tell you about the rules for entrenched infantry on the third story of a building? And maybe basements while we're at it?
You know, we already played a city map once. It's been years and I already forgot everything.
Yeah, we didn't use most of the rules. So that's all the papery goodness we have.
More salvage boxes?
We, you know what? Sure, you can have another silver box. Here you go.
Oh, I wonder what's inside.
Let's save up the salvage boxes for the end of the video, shall we?
That's all right. We do have another box to open soon, so. And it's a big box.
And it's a big box. Might say it's the core box. You know, they have memory core.
Actually, this is pretty cool.
Ividigos is the standard clan fighter. Like, 25% of all clan fighters are Visigoth. This is just such a rugged design. It's 60 tons, it's an Omni fighter, so you can just swap out the parts. It's a huge headache. The Inner Sphere had a lot of trouble fighting them. One thing left to do. Open up this one.
Box A.
Right.
They had this in 2 versions. The alternate cover would have been just a standard thing with like Battletech and all this, but they also offered this, and this is quite pretty. Let me just open this up. Here it is. We've got
Short story.
short story. Always nice.
Bunch of Alpha Strike quick play cards.
As expected.
And a bunch of Battlefield support quick play cards which utilize the new Battlefield support rules, which basically use Alpha Strike rules in a way for vehicles only, so that you can have battles with detailed mechs using the classic rules, but also field a gazillion vehicles in the same game without having to bog it down.
Yeah, not too much upkeep on those.
I'm unsure what to think about them, but we will try them out.
We will try them out, maybe just between ourselves for the start, but
Yeah.
you might also see it on camera at some point. Hello, future me here. All of the things we mentioned are in fact in the box. But importantly, after opening the card packs, we need to mention that the Battlefield support cards are something else entirely. They are simple cards to factor in things like air support or artillery strikes. If you want to include those in a battle, but don't feel like setting up 3 extra maps and playing with several additional sets of rules, which would have been necessary before. These might come in very handy at some point.
Famous pilots. 2 dice, because
Famous dice.
yeah. Bunch of plastic that no one needs.
And mechs in that.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Also more maps. I think these are also supplementing the Savannah set a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't mind.
Yeah, no, more is better. Then we have a rulebook for base rules and special rules, I guess. I haven't actually checked.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this at some point. I mean, we couldn't check. It was
Yeah.
still closed.
Yeah, obviously. The record sheets for the mechs.
Of course.
Another Battletech primer. This might be the same one they had in the first boxes. This is just
No, this
this is a law primer.
law primer for
Ooh,
mercenary.
That's cool.
And Wolves, Dragoons, Calhounds, that's 2 I actually know. Grey Death Legion, of course.
Aerodyne Light Horses.
Yeah. The
Northwind
Highlanders. This
Yeah.
is all
Yeah.
all the old favorites.
Yep, pretty much.
And
Maps of different ages.
Yeah.
Eras. Right, that's cool.
another big.
Inner Sphere map.
But is it another time?
Yes. 3058 is not something we had before, I believe.
Is it? No, and this is especially not something we had before.
Yeah.
3151.
Yeah. Another one you will throw up on screen, I'm sure.
Yes.
Plop outs for vehicles and such.
And armor and actually infantry.
Yeah. Jump troopers,
Nice.
ammo containers.
Lots of nice stuff.
Ooh, cheat sheets.
Cheat sheets. We like cheat sheets. Oh, and it's for battlefield support stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For airstrikes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Light air cover, long toms.
I see. Campaign quick rules and sheets.
Also nice. Let's see.
We like all of that.
Yeah. Let's see if we get to play around with this eventually.
Now, let's get to this useless plastic, shall we? Pick your favorite, any favorite.
Let's begin with... What are you? Let me refer to the cards.
Do not know. I believe this does look like the Mech. What is this? SRM 6, SRM 4, twin lasers.
Wait a second, the cards are almost freed. There we go. It's the quick draw.
Ah, really?
I feel like we might have known that one.
Yes, this isn't an SRM 4 and an SRM 6, this is an LRM 10.
These cards stick together a bit.
Right, so, quick draw. It's a heavy, 60 tons. It's originally meant to replace the Rifleman before the First Succession War, and once again is able to bend its arms backwards to fire its 4 medium lasers into its rear arm. Bit lacking in heat sinks, with only 13 of them. If you actually end up wanting to use those lasers, 4 mediums will generate 12 points of heat. Then you have an LRM 10 and an SRM 4, and you've got another one of those varied loadout mechs like the Shadowhawk, but not too varied, I guess. Also, jump jets, because why not?
Okay, so let's go from the cards here.
Yeah,
Chameleon.
it's probably this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chameleon. Chameleon is... well, it's interesting. It's the first mech we own that is built specifically to train new pilots. It's got a lot of lasers and a few heatsinks to make the users learn to properly pace their salvos. The name also isn't meant to indicate great camouflage, like the Spectre. Instead, it refers to the mech's ability to be refitted with simulations of lots of different opponents. Basically, you power down the lasers and program another mech to react as if it would have been hit by an AC-20 if it got hit with this powered down laser.
But your computers will register hits just like in a battle. And oh yeah, it'll feel as real as it looks.
You can add or remove different weapon systems, but most of them are just cosmetics to make it look like something that it isn't.
Right. But if it's a training mech, it's probably not something we'd use in battle, is it?
Well, consider this. Everyone built them to train new pilots, which meant that every new pilot knows how to pilot them. And then you have a lot of them lying around, in pristine condition, maybe except for a few scratches when a pilot fell over with them. And then an enemy shows up. What you gonna do?
Slap some proper weapons on it and shove it towards the front?
Yeah, and since that's what a lot of people did, a lot of factories started picking up actual combat variants of the vehicle. So, yeah, we can probably expect to see some of them on the game.
Especially among mercenaries,
Yeah,
if
of
they
course.
just buy leftover stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Good. Let's have another one. The Star Slayer. Will the Star Slayer please raise its hand? This one.
This one. Starslayer is another energy boat. One I'm not quite familiar with. Also heavily used by SLDF, then lost. But after the Hell Memory Core, it was picked up again. And with the clan invasion happening, it got a serious upgrade in the form of double heatsinks, allowing engineers to fill it up with large, medium, and small boats.
I don't think there's much to add to that.
No, not really.
Caesar.
That would be this one.
Right.
The Caesar. It's a heavy tank. It's got a PPC and a Gauss rifle. Some medium pulse lasers. Nothing too shabby for a design. The Lurens basically just drummed up as a smoke screen to distract from the development of the X-Men. It ended up seeing quite a bit of use amongst the Commonwealth forces.
Ah, yes. No one must find out we are to be putting the sharp bit of metal at the end of the stick. It truly shall be the future of warfare.
The X-Men primarily was famous for being one of the first mechs to feature triple strength myoma.
That's a different story entirely.
That's what they wanted to hide.
Good. Devastator. I'm guessing that's the big one.
That's the big one. The Devastator. One of the lesser known Kerensky board designs, or he ordered them to be made and designed. The Atlas is very showy and built as a scary, scary, scary boy. But personally, I think the Devastator, in contrast, is just meant to shit up.
To devastate it, so to speak.
You be the judge. There's 2 BPCs in there that are allowed to play the role of backup weapons for the 2 Gauss rifles in there. And 4 medium lasers in case you decided to get close to somehow devastate the Devastator. It's just a whole 100 tons of ill intentions. The thing hurts. It doesn't have a cool skull head. That's the only downside.
So we have the flea and I see another flea-like thing in a Firefly.
Yeah. This is the flea. This is the Firefly. The Flea and Firefly are 2 more bug mechs. The Flea was pretty rubbish when it was first conceived as the Trooper by the Free Worlds League.
And why was it rubbish?
It's basically a work mech turned anti-infantry mech, but that meant it was missing an ejection system for one. The legs were pretty weak, and you know, how about you just throw up the quirks on screen for that variant?
Oh!
Yeah, but it was easy to maintain, and the military basically ordered a flat rate of the things so they could restock as quickly as they got burned up. So they kept improving them. And after the Wolf's Dragoons began using them as scouts to great effect, well, the Flea had it made. The Firefly is another light, but this one is more used as a light support for other mechs. They were once again popularized by the Wolf's Dragoons, and there was a lot of clan tech in them. So they depended on resupply runs from the clan worlds initially, which you can imagine led to problems eventually given the history of the Wolf Dragoons. They're a popular mech amongst mercenaries though.
Cool! They should put them in some sort of mercenary box then.
Yeah, maybe a good idea. Well, last of the Stobby boys.
Also,
yeah, it's another Ostman mech, as the name implies. I actually had to look this one up, I didn't remember it. It was supposed to be an all-energy weapons alternative to the Osprey. 2 larges, 4 mediums, 16 single heatsinks, barely keeping it cool. Can operate independently of supply lines, obviously, which was what the SLDF used it for. At some point, its factories got destroyed.
which happened to a lot of mechs.
But there already were a lot of these ready to be retrofitted to stay relevant, and they eventually started making them again past 3065. And any mech that manages to come back from a complete halt of production must have something going for it.
Also, if it's more commonly available, then that might be a reason why we're seeing this in the mercenary box. Let's start with the Galleon light tank.
The Galleon. The Galleon is a tracked light tank, as the name implies. It's been around forever. It's extremely fast for something that doesn't hover with 711.
That's an assassin.
Yeah, it's better armed than one though. It's got a medium laser and 2 small lasers. It's rather annoying, especially if you have a whole swarm of them on your tail.
I could see that. And, well, lastly, we got the Maxine.
Well, the Maxim. Someone took the APC, made it into a hovercraft, and then answered the question of, are you going to arm it with mad laughter before going to work? Standard variant has 1 SRM-6, 3 machine guns, 3 LRM-5s and 2 SRM-2s. On a transport, mind you. Of course, there's method to this madness. It's meant to deploy infantry and then immediately provide covering fire. It also has no ends of variance.
Okay, and I guess that's all in this box, which means we clear away the big box and go back to the very small boxes.
Fine by me. I think you've earned it.
Let's see if these bring us, I don't know, towards the Steiner Scoutlands or something.
That would be awesome. Okay. Oh, this one's small. Oh, goody. It's another Vulcan.
Oh, right. The one we couldn't quite figure out.
Yeah, let's see if we can figure it out if we have 2 of them.
Doubly is confusing now. Let's see what this is. Not hugely impressed by this box.
No. But maybe this one. Come on, be another
seems-
Devastator.
No, it's not a big one.
Not a big one, okay.
Is this another chameleon? Yes, it is another chameleon.
Oh, that's fine.
That's actually fine if
Yeah,
you
it's a training mech, and sure.
if we want to do a scenario where training or a training academy is being attacked or people are training, then
Yeah.
it's actually not bad to have more than one of these.
No, this is decent. I like that.
Yeah.
Not flashy, but I
It-
can see a lot of scenarios where I would want 2 of these.
It opens up possibilities, because what are you gonna do with one of these? You just stick them in some mercenary force and say they have one.
Yeah,
But
Pretty
with
much.
2 you can actually use them for some flavor stuff.
yeah, that's true.
Nice. That was a lot.
Can we get a shot of the table as it was when we finished looking through everything? There, thanks.
And as usual, this took forever to edit. Just so it wasn't just us talking over some unpainted minis. But that had an unexpected upside. We got to have a game with some of our new toys in the meantime.
Yes, and not everything performed quite like we expected it.
Let me paint you a quick picture here. We had a big chunk of the Savannah map set up. A lot of long-range options and heavy mechs for myself, and a variety of hovercraft, tanks, as well as some of our new medium mechs for green.
As well as a truck.
In any case, none of our old miniatures on the field. We took some turns to close the distance. Sidelines were scarce for me, thanks to careful maneuvering from Green's troops. In the end, we clashed around these hills, and some of my mechs took defensive positions in thick woods. After all, if you stand in a wooded hex, the penalties don't affect you for shooting outside.
So it came down to a bit of a brawl. And you know what? Nobody expected it, but one unit really outshone the others when it came to charging the woods.
Yes, we were surprised to see it, but the charger was phenomenal at charging my position. Too hard to bring down easily, and heavy enough to pack a mean punch and kick like a mule in melee.
Kaiju-sized mule.
There's a picture. So, addendum to the shade we threw on the charger: if it is spearheading a group of other mechs, then it can truly deliver. I didn't know what to shoot. The squishier stuff with the better weaponry, or the Iron Giant that was pummeling my mechs into submission. I'll be more careful joking about that one in the future. It might hear me.
The various hovercrafts didn't disappoint either. They ran circles around the entrenched positions and were nearly impossible to bring down. But we'll get into those a bit more when we get to a documented proper game for you.
I mean, there were a few truly Battletech moments, like my Shrek instantly getting its weapon blown out on a lucky drive-by shot from your J. Edgar. And I'll also say that the Banshee vindicated its bad reputation a bit by pulling its weight right up until the end of the game and still being mostly functional.
It ended on a forfeit from Red, even though I think with a bit of luck he might have pulled it around.
A lot of luck if you ask me, but 9,000 battle points on each side, it's a long game, and we were more than happy to call it a night when we did. We'll probably aim for something a bit smaller and tighter on our next video.
Which reminds me, we now need to come up with something to properly film for the next report.
Well, you've seen all of our new stuff. Ideas are already a-buzzin'. I think we can come up with some nice things. Chameleon training mechs caught out by enemy scouts.
One thing that's been floating about in my head was a mobile air defense lance being ambushed by a strike lance. I'm thinking pikes, riflemen, perhaps Shrek and carriers on one side, with warriors, hovercraft and Jannas on the other.
Or maybe just a couple of big guns in a Solaris team match, with all the hype and energy that entails.
Buildings? Or turrets at the very least? Maybe we should wait until we can get our hands on the turret bundle for that.
We shall see. In any case, thanks to our viewers if you stayed with us until now. Feel free to throw in some of your own ideas. In the comments or even on our Discord. Maybe we'll pick one up. Next big video will be a good old battle report again, and then, who knows?
I've also got some of my own Battletech ideas cooking, but you'll have to wait and see. But enough for today. We need to see if we can make it to the Spiel, which is in a few weeks from now. Maybe we'll see some of you there even before this video's out. Either way, thanks everyone for watching and see you next time.
Bye!